Hey, good people, how you doing? Welcome to 254 Rugby episode 40, powered by La Villa Fitness. Well, this is episode 40. It is a milestone episode for us. And just in case you want to know a little bit more about La Villa Fitness, well, La Villa Fitness is located on the first floor of Langata Mall near Clean Shelf Supermarket. And La Villa Fitness, well, for all your fitness needs, if you're in the Langata neighborhood, and they are going to have a boot camp on the 21st of June, and here are the details of the boot camp at La Villa Fitness. Is something that you should enjoy. The details are out there on your screen. Well, apart from paying the bills, it's time for the announcements. Well, and what's happening in the world of rugby. Well, as we all know, probably about 2 weeks ago, Sasha Mutai resigned as the chairman of the Kenya Rugby Union. We do know that his efforts to ensure there's good governance, meeting resistance from a section of the board members. And at the special general meeting of a few weeks ago, he resigned. Of course, as we do know, the other party is entitled to their say. And a milestone has been recorded for the Kenya Rugby Union as Harriet Okach is the new chairperson. It is a historic shift in the leadership of Kenyan rugby, as not only does she replace Sasha Mutai, she becomes the first woman ever to hold this role, a significant and symbolic moment for the sport in Kenya. Well, Harriet, as we do know, has been a previous treasurer of Kisumu RFC, and prior to her appointment as the chairperson of the Kenya Rugby Union, she was the Kenya Rugby Union director in charge of marketing and sponsorship. Now, let's go to the hard stuff. She steps into a role that comes with serious challenges. The KRU board has sustained allegations against it of corruption and poor governance, issues that continue to cast a long shadow over the game. Now, these concerns refuse to go away. They hang around like a bad smell. And with that, the need for accountability remains urgent. And recently, Tony Polisi Kadambi, for those who may not know him, he is a former Kenya Under-20 international, played his club rugby for the longest time with Homeboys RFC in Kenya, and then made the move to Kenya Harlequin a few seasons ago, but he is now playing and coaching in Uganda and was the captain for the Ginger Hippos as they reached the final of the Uganda Premiership against the Black Pirates, losing 44 points to 23 in an exciting final. But that's not why we are featuring Tony Polisi Kadambi. Well, he had some comments about the Kenya Rugby Union's leadership. He was a host on Rogue Rugby TV's podcast a few weeks ago, and courtesy of Rogue Rugby, would like to play you this clip of Tony Kadambi, just calling it as it is, calling out the KRU board for incompetence and for their integrity issues. Here we go, in the words of Fabrizio Romano.
Kama mtapigania, mimi nitawapigania basi. Kama nyinyi hamtaki, kama nyinyi hamtaki kufight, because mimi sasa by the way namaliza rugby career yangu. Na wakinifukuza huku nitaenda kwa national team ya Uganda. Babakisha tu miaka mbili. Ni moja hata. Niko na mwaka moja. But still, mimi sidai. Napenda MTH. Na Kenya Rugby at some point, mimi sidhani kama at some point najua nitakuwa na watu hii. Astaki wapate hii system. Juu wakipata hii system, sijui nani nitabelieve. Juu watakuwa niuliza, mzazi, ulicheza miaka forever. Huku learn anything ya kuchange. So mimi hiyo ndo kitu. Lazima tu fight. Na najua union watafeel vibaya nimesema hivi vitu back. Truthfully manzi, nini watu incompetent in dunia. tukiandika incompetency inaanza na capital KRU.
Kenya Rugby Union.
Mnaandika hiyo vitu zingine. Because mimi for a long time nilikuwa frustrated as a player. Unaona? I don't think nikienda into my coaching, union should be the next thing me na feel frustrated about. Neither should I feel like the next generation must be frustrated about the same people. So still in a go back to players. Still in a go back to fans. Ni lini tutasema imetosha? Ni lini? When is enough enough?
Shukisha.
Unaanza when is enough enough? Mnataka kuona nini ndio mjue hii union iko na problem? Mnataka kuona nini ndio mwambie chairman wenu wanatuuza? Mnataka nini? Ni nini tunataka kushowiwa kama hatutaki kulana sasa? Because mimi nimekataa. Hatuwezi kuwa na 5 directors union wako accused of the highest offenses unaweza hold in any public office. Forgery na kupea 10 years by the way. Hizo ndo vitu tunaitanga capital crimes. Tuko na watu ambao wana hold office illegally. Ume overuse term. Hiyo ni dictatorship. Ume overstay your term. People wenye wanafanya vitu na sisi kama affiliates tumekaa tu tuna chill. Sawa, tumetoa Sasha, sawa. Alafu for me haiwezi go on. Hatuwezi go like this. Hatuwezi. At some point watu lazima decide kama hii union ni yao ama ni yetu.
Well, we can hear it there, the words from Tony Kadambi, pulling no punches. And, he talks about his frustration as a player, and says he doesn't want to go into coaching and fix the same frustrations from the Kenya Rugby Union. He also talks about the fact that it is alleged that a number of KRU directors have been caught in a series of, incidences that really point towards a lack of integrity and breaking of the laws of the land, and says, really, I mean, even before the law catches up with them, they should really, have a conscience and just step away from the game. But he also, calls on the affiliates really to get out of their zombie-like silence and, do something instead of sitting back and watching the game continue to be run aground. Strong words from Tony Kadambi. It would be great to hear a lot more words, but I dare say that this is probably one of the most vocal comments we've heard from somebody who is a player and is, transitioning into management. And it would be great to hear a lot more voices giving these kind of opinions and putting the Kenya Rugby Union to task. And you know what? In my perspective, I'm going to take off my headphones and say that, it's clear the problems at the Kenya Rugby Union, they are not isolated to the boardroom. Many of these problems stem from the very clubs and affiliates that vote in these officials. This is a governance crisis that demands honesty and commitment across all levels of sport. Well, we had to talk about that. Now, away from the boardroom, let's get onto the pitch. And the Kenya Lionesses are in Madagascar for the Rugby Africa Women's Cup, which also serves as a qualification tournament for the 2026 World Rugby WXV competition. Remember, Kenya last played in that competition in 2023. They missed out on 2024, looking to return in 2026. And they started their campaign in Madagascar with a solid result against the home team, Madagascar, winning that game by 28 points to 5. We can see the statistics on the screen there. Snyder Nyachio leading the Kenyans in scoring points. She scored a try and a conversion. The other tries came from Stella Wafula, Maureen Muritu, and Phoebe Akinyi. Grace Okulu kicked over a penalty and a drop goal. The first drop goal in, I think, 3 editions of the Rugby Africa Women's Cup. Madagascar obviously getting their solitary try, but it wasn't enough. The 2 more matches left for the Lionesses. First match is against Uganda before they take on the defending champions, South Africa, in the final match. And, we always wish the Lionesses well, one of the teams that continues to put a smile on the faces of many a Kenyan and even for many a rugby fan. And with their matches coming up, we do wish Simon Odongo, Dennis Mwanja, and the entire technical bench and playing unit led by the captain, Enid Ouma, all the best as they take on their remaining two opponents in the Rugby Africa Women's Cup competition, which continues in South Africa. And, just before we get on to the next story, there is a clip of, not really a clip, but just a picture of the Lionesses in past action against the team from Madagascar. And that's it. Now, let's get on to the Simbas. And as we all know, they are in South Africa. They are preparing for the men's edition of the Rugby Africa Cup, which in 2025 serves as a World Cup qualification tournament for the 2027 Rugby World Cup. That's just a picture of the Simbas warming up before their most recent international in Nairobi against the United Arab Emirates, a game that they won by 55 points to 24. But, like we said, they've been in South Africa. They have played 2 build-up games so far. They played against the Southern Western Districts, the SWD Eagles. That game ending in a tie, 17-all. And then they recently played against the South Africa under-20 team, the Baby Boks, who are also preparing for the World Junior Rugby Championship. That game ending in a 42-24 victory for the Baby Boks. Well, the preparations continue for the Simbas, and obviously there has been banter around it, but just to put it in context, I mean, the Baby Boks are better than so many African senior sides, let's just face it, for that matter, and they definitely would tear them to shreds. So that's how we look at the resulting context. A good build-up for the Simbas as they prepare to take on Uganda. Now, matters around the diaspora, and we do have the Cape Fear Sevens coming up at the end of the month of June. And the Kenya Exiles will be taking part. Remember, the Kenya Exiles, one team that is from Kenya, made up of Kenyan rugby players who are in the United States. And, it's a collection of players from around the United States, all who used to play their rugby in Kenya and have been associated with Kenyan rugby in the past. Well, they need your help in honoring their fixtures at the Cape Fear Sevens. And that is how you can aid them in, playing at the Cape Fear Sevens, which happens at the end of June, and is a good tournament. Lots of fun on and off the pitch. And if you're able to head over to Cape Fear in Wilmington, North Carolina, do so. Well, if not, there are ways and means with which you can get in touch with the Kenya Exiles and support them. Well, we are coming to the close of this edition of 254 Rugby. But before we do so, we also have our parting shot. You see, the Kenya Rugby Union, in my opinion, there's a lot of things that are mundane that have been happening in recent years. And, that's why, we jokingly call them the Kenya Random Union. And, to the leadership at the Kenya Rugby Union, we always wish you success. But more importantly, we ask for something long overdue in the space: transparency, accountability, responsibility. To the affiliates and clubs, your role in shaping the future of this game cannot be understated. The decisions made in AGMs and boardrooms have real consequences on and off the pitch. It's time to stop operating like this business as usual. The game deserves better, and so do the players, the fans, and the communities who live for it. Yeah, that is the parting shot. This has been 254 Rugby. We watch the game and we will continue to watch those who run it. Well, if you've got anything to say, feel free to drop a comment. But in the meantime, like, share, subscribe, and continue watching 254 Rugby. And we look forward to your feedback. Catch you again next time on another edition of 254 Rugby. Thank you.